12:01. We had an appointment at 12, so we're just going to dive in, and people will just log in as they see fit. So, Matt, why don't you tell everybody about yourself and your business and your journey? We'll start off with that.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me, Rich. One of the people I respect most in the whole world, and so I'm blessed to be joining you guys today from North Carolina. So, like Rich said, we met in Bold, and just really took so many things away from Rich personally and from the Bold, Bold experience. So I'm now a 10 times Bold graduate. Been with Keller Williams for 11 years. My team is really behind all my success. So any of my numbers are from my team and not from me. But we've been in the top 10 in the Carolinas for this will be the 7th year in a row. Last year we did about 72 million in volume. For us, that's about 215 units. So we've been running between 200 and 225 units a year for about 6 years now. And then opened a market center about 4 years ago. So I'm the operating principal of that market center in Durham, North Carolina, Raleigh-Durham area. We call it the Triangle. So that's where I operate, and just have been given so much from Keller Williams, that anytime I can share what we're doing or help others, like people have helped me along the way, I'm happy to do it. So definitely want this to be a takeaway. If there's anything I can share to help anybody on the call, feel free to ask questions. I'm kind of just an open book. So I don't have a script or anything to go over today.
Yeah. And that's what I love about you, Matt, because you are genuine. You're very transparent. You'll say things the way they are. And I love that about you. So, you've had a long journey. When did you start in real estate? How many years have you been in real estate?
So I started in 06, which has been a blessing for me because I know a lot of us have not been through a shift, and so
Right.
For me, looking back, it was a big blessing. I started at the end of 06 and got into new construction sales before I got into general brokerage in 09 with Keller Williams. And really going through that great recession was a blessing because I just started out, learning how to, lead generate and grind. And, those habits were built because I had to build them. That's just what I thought real estate was. So when things started getting better in 12 and 13, I was like, oh, this is cool. But I didn't, expect that because I was used to 07,
Sure.
08. So I think that there's a lot of takeaways from that time that we can implement now.
So Matt, let's drill down a little because you bring up a very interesting point. So you started in the down market, 06, general sales, 09. 08 and 09 were probably the two worst years that I started in 04. So so you learned the fundamentals of real estate at a very high level, and you didn't know any better because that's just the way the market was in 09, right? And then when we got to 12, talk about that a little bit. I think they need to hear from you.
I think just being naive to, how good it was, if there was people on the call that were in the business in 03, 04, 05 and things were just rocking. My wife was in real estate at that time. And, there was just, it was a different market. And I know Florida was hit as hard as anybody back in 08, 09. And so, just you had to, in that time, just really go after it. And you might have to make, the extra phone calls or the extra door knocking to get things done. And so just for me, that became the norm. And like I said, it probably just they just told me to go do it and I did it. And I didn't question, well, that's not what I had to do last year. I just said, okay. And I just went and made the calls. And so for me, I had a lot of success, in those years from just going after it.
Yeah. And you bring up another great point. Because naivety has its blessings. We were naive, didn't know any better. We just did what we were told to do, and look at us now, right? And I will tell you, every phone call, every Zoom call that I'm on, I'm doing probably anywhere between 5 and 8 a day at this point. When I ask the question of how many people were in real estate in 2008, which was probably the worst year we had in real estate. And it's less than 20%. It's usually between 10 and 15% of the people. So most of the people on this call are not aware of what they're up against or could be, although this is different than the last one. I will say this is a different one. We're not looking at an economic outlook that took 5 or 6 years away from our industry, right? This time we're looking at something that could last possibly anywhere from 3 months to a year or something. We just don't know for sure. So Can you talk a little bit about different from your perspective, how this one is different than the last one?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. I think last time was absolutely a more of an economic result of a lot of other factors going on. Whereas right now with COVID, this is more of a short term. Everybody has their, arguments, and I tend to be optimistic and think that we're going to have more of a V reaction, to the market and bounce back in third quarter and fourth. But I think that right now the key is focusing on what are we doing now that will show up then, so really focusing on what is April, May, June going to look like, and it's in the way of activities, and instead of focusing on what I can't do, I have to focus on what I can do right now.
There you go. And I think you just nailed it when you said we're going to be bouncing back to the end of third quarter, fourth quarter. It's going to be more like a V right now. And you said something very, Matt, you're just nailing this on all cylinders, because you said it's based on the activities that we're doing right now. And that's what I'm afraid of. There's a lot of agents out there that are just saying, I'm just going to wait this out on the sideline. And what are the ramifications for the agents that think they're just going to wait this out for like 3, 4, 5, 6 months? When they get back into real estate, are they going to be able to catch up? What's that?
Yeah, I think the idea right now is that people are going to do 3 things. They're either going to freeze, they're going to fight, or they're going to fly away. And so I think a lot of people have that tendency to freeze, like you mentioned, and just not do anything and just kind of wait and see mindset. And that scares me the most. And then the fly away mindset is just kind of like run away from everything and do nothing. And I think we've got to take action and fight. What we all know that our business is cyclical and it runs on a 60 to 90 day window. So, really what we're seeing in March and April closing wise, we were probably all fairly fortunate because we had a good January, February. And right. So what we're doing now is really what's going to impact May, June, and July. And those are the months I have concerns about for agents that are in that freeze mode. So I would just challenge you to, and it's not going to be easy because change is never easy. And so this is me included, having to make changes, doing a Zoom call versus having a meeting in person. I mean, a lot of things are changing right now, but I have to focus on what can I do to move the business forward, and then just take action on that. And for us, with our team, we're just focused. We're doing a lot of calls together. We're having a lot of positivity, sharing what's working, what's gone well personally and professionally, just to keep things positive, because I think everybody can get a little bit down, with just being stuck at home. And sure. And then I think like what we're focused on is just activity. So one of the basics is we're reaching out to our sphere. We're doing a 25-5-5. So every day we're focusing on contacting 20 people by phone, 5 by text, 5 by direct message on Facebook, and then we're writing 5 handwritten notes. So in the course of a week, our goal is to have 30 contacts. So we're hoping to 30 a day, so 150 for the week. And that simple formula works well. And we've been having good success with that. And what that looks like, Rich, is not really a real estate call. It's not a bold call, right. Who do you know that's looking to buy or sell or invest in real estate? It's a care call. It's just Rich, tell me how you doing. How's your family? The script is not anything more deep than that, and just really coming from contribution. And then naturally they're going to a lot of times either have a real estate need they want to bring up, and then of course you can go down that road, or there might just be a personal connection. So the way I told them to think about it was, and I'm not sure, is Florida, are y'all in a shelter in place, or are you allowed to show property right now?
We're still allowed to show property. It's deemed essential. However, they are giving us guidelines on what we can or can't do.
Okay.
We have to practice safe real estate.
Okay. So we're kind of in the same boat. We actually are even more weird. We're in a county by county. So the main county in Raleigh is allowing us to be essential and show property, and literally one county over, we're non-essential and cannot have open houses, show property, do anything. So it's very bizarre. But what the way I'm trying to take about with my team is that we want to leave this COVID situation temporarily with a backpack full of listings, or a backpack full of buyer agency signs. So, the seeds that you're planting now with these phone calls, they're not all going to be listings coming immediately. There are going to be some people who legitimately, might have a need or have an illness in the family, or elderly person living with them that says, hey, I need to list, but I can't afford to do it right now. It might be 3 months or whatever. And so for those, just get secure the listing, talk to them about what their needs are, and then lock them in, and then they'll just be a listing in third quarter. They'll close in fourth quarter. And you have to look at the year as a holistic approach, I think, instead of, dissecting, oh, we're down 30% in April or whatever, what have you.
So Matt, it just gets down to it's a numbers game. The more contacts that we touch people today, tomorrow will pay off down the road, third and fourth quarter.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's as basic as that. And I think that 25-5-5 is very doable in a 2 to 3 hour block during your day. You know, you have to time block. We're talking a lot about making sure you have a calendar. I think that the top agents that are going to get through this are the ones that are holding to a calendar, which I'll admit is hard when you're at home. You know, I have three beautiful girls, and you know that can be a distraction when you're working from home. And so you have to follow a schedule just like you would at work. You know, you have a meeting, whether it's a Zoom call or you have lead gen, and you have to get those amount of calls done in that time, and put that pressure on yourself. And however you work best with accountability, I would find somebody that can hold you accountable to those numbers on a daily basis, because it really is one day at a time, you know, as we go through this.
I love that. So what are some of the new skill sets that you and your team are actually learning right now through this challenging or opportunistic time? And that's what we do. We adapt and evolve. So what are the new skill sets that you're learning now that once this calms down in a couple of months, that you think are going to benefit each one of your team members?
I think we're getting good with the Zoom calls. We've had some really good success with Zoom calls on listings as well as buyer consultations. I think that I've challenged my agents to get familiar with the share screen. And so a lot of them have we have the documents we use for both of those presentations. So if I'm talking to Rich and his wife about selling a house, I can share my screen and pull up, you know, the home buying process or a listing flyer that I normally would have to show somebody in person, you know, in that meeting. And then we can share that on the screen. We're also, like, for listings, for example, if some people are hesitant about meeting, we will have them leave us a key and go by and have them leave the home. We go by, take a quick look at it, and then leave and come back and do a Zoom call. So we're never actually, you know, face to face with them or interacting. So we're just skirting around. Okay, how do we still have that meeting without, you know, actually getting physically in front of them? And then on the buyer consultation side, same thing. We can pretty much knock out that meeting in a Zoom call with the sharing of files and emailing them stuff. And then we're just being super careful on showings. You know, we're trying to avoid bringing children or anybody elderly to the showing. Just no extra people to the showing like you might have done before. And then you know, obviously keeping social distancing at the showing, wearing putting on gloves or booties to go into the house, and, you know, using hand sanitizer, things like that.
Do you have a questionnaire that your team uses for people that are on your listings, or if you're on the buyer side, are you asking people, in other words, have you been sick in the last 14 days or something like that?
Yeah, we are asking those questions just to make sure for their safety and ours. So I did have a client that was up in Ohio moving down to North Carolina that he actually got it. And so we just made sure that my buyer's agent for 2 weeks did not interact with his wife or him until they were, you know, past the quarantine and whatnot. So yes, I think we're definitely, I mean, you have to keep safety first in this whole process. And, you know, my family's no different than others that are touched by people with, you know, compromised immune systems. So, you know, we definitely want to keep safety of our agents and our team first, and then business second. I just don't want the idea of saying safe to turn into, I'm just going to sit at home and do nothing. Cause I think that's a very scary thought, you know, right now.
Sure. So you've come a long way. You're doing 200 plus units, $70 million a year. Congratulations for you and your team. You're a wonderful leader. You've been given a wonderful opportunity to open up another market center as an OP, an operating principal. And I could see a lot more opportunities on your way because you're just nailing it all away. So one of the questions I have for you, Matt, is to find out, as successful people, when people look at you or I or other people, they see all the success. What they don't see are the mistakes we make along the way. And those are just stepping stones. So talk to us a little bit about some of the mistakes that you've made along the way in real estate that led to where you are today.
Sure. And I put the chat up. So there was a couple questions about the 555. So I'll clarify that because it kind of leads into what I was going to say on your answer.
Sure.
So basically we're doing 20 phone calls a day. Obviously we're getting a lot more response on that. So in a perfect world, I'm reaching at least 15 to 20 on the phone calls, but I am leaving voicemails. Again, it's a care call. So I'm checking in. So I'm asking them to call me back. So it's 20 phone calls, 5 text messages, 5 direct messages via social media, Facebook, and then 5 handwritten notes. So it's 25-5-5. So I wanted to, hopefully that answers the question. I think Ruth or Susan might've posted. But you know what's funny, Rich, is that as many things as I've tried, which I've tried all the different pay for this, pay for that. One of the biggest failures is just trying to go for that like magic button, the easy button, and get away from these basics. Like, so as basic as that 25-5-5 is, it's really just a modification of what we do in bold. And it's
Right.
that basic. It's that simple. I mean, our team just gets back to those basics of communicating and just caring about people. And then because we do that, and I think most of us on this call build really good rapport with our people, so they want to help us, they want to send us referrals and help us grow our business. So we just do a really good job of staying in front of them and and keeping that relationship there. And we're blessed with 65% of our business is from past clients and referrals.
So you are database focused.
We are 100% database focused. Yep.
Okay.
And we have used the DTD2 with the letters, and that works out well in a normal time period. We're going through those every quarter. So two letters per week. And then over the course of 13 weeks, that gets us through the alphabet. So that's worked out really well for us as well.
So how many, let's talk about the parties on your team. How big is your team? How many members do you have?
So we actually only have 9 people. We have 3 admin. Essentially one is over the other 2. And then she actually also runs the listing side. One runs the buy side, as far as contract to close and all the paperwork. And then the third is like a marketing and database driven, admin. And then we have 3 agents on the list side and 4 on the buy side, or excuse me, 3 on the list side, 3 on the buy side. We're actually 3 and 3 right now.
So you have 6 licensees doing 200 plus transactions. So they're averaging 35 to 40 units a year. Honestly, the teams that I speak to, usually it's about 20 per licensee. You are running one lean machine there, man.
I get accused of being very lean, but I'm okay with that, So
yeah. I think the better term is efficient.
Yeah, my admins are the same way. I think I pay them better than everybody, but they handle a lot. They handle. My third one is actually 30 hours a week, so I have 2 full-time and 1 30-hour week that the 3 of them handle. 215, 220 transactions. So they're rock stars. There's no room on a team for somebody that's not a rock star. I'll admit that.
So mediocrity isn't something that you achieve on your team.
No, we're not really going for that. But they know I care about them, and they have tremendous success when they put the work in. So
what are some of the expectations that you set, whether it's admin or one of the licensees listing the buyer's agents? What do those expectations look like?
Buyer's agents, they have clear expectations on, from their follow through on leads and whatnot, but they have their own lead generation expectations, what they're doing. And really it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, just focusing on activities. So I let them choose what that looks like, whether that's, some of them are very much sphere based. Some of them are more like enjoy door knocking. Some are big on open houses. They just enjoy the open house. That's how they like to get their leads and focus their attention. So I kind of let them pick the avenue, but they have to pick something. Picking nothing for lead gen is not an option.
So and then you set a standard of how much lead gen they have to do each day or a week.
Yeah,
the 25-5.
We focused on right now. We've upped it to what we're doing now. So we're hoping for 30 contacts a day, which is 150. We were doing 75. So in a normal week, back in the normal time, we were doing 75 a week, and they could choose how they accomplish that. And the conversations is what's key. We kind of got away from time, because if you can have 75 conversations a week and it only takes you, Rich, 5 hours, and it takes me 25, then that's just is what it is. But the result is what we're going for. So we focus on, on the contact. So I would encourage you, if you're tracking your own numbers, or if you have a team, that you're looking at number of conversations had. And obviously this is, hopefully real estate related conversations, because it doesn't matter what they did hours wise if there was no conversations. And if they had those conversations, I don't care how long it took, if it was a short period of time. Obviously, shorter the better.
Sure. What are some of the lessons you've learned by building your team out? We all make mistakes on hires. What are some of yours?
Yeah, I've made plenty. I think that truly going through the process, taking it slow. I've finally embraced, after several bad hires. My worst one was, I hired a guy for ISA, and like the next day, my TL called me in and she showed me her computer, and he was like, there was like a mug shot of him, and there was some like domestic violence background, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I just fell in love with him. He's like, hey, I want to get on the phone and call people. And I'm like, oh, you're weird, man. Nobody wants to call people all day. Like, I'll hire you. And I didn't do my homework. So I think that, the hiring process and getting the right who's is the key. I would not be able to – I started the call by saying, like, those are not my numbers. Those are my team's numbers, and I give them all the credit. So, I would not be able to accomplish what we've done without the right who's on my team, and they're all special in different ways, and they're talented, and they're good people, and it's a good group. And so I think that the challenge, or the mental thing you're gonna have to get over is you don't go interview 2 people and find the rock stars. So if you want 1%er, guess what? You got to go talk to 100 people to get to that one. And that takes time, and you just have to block it out, because, if you want that rock star buyer's agent, you're going to have to go talk to 20, 30, 40 to run into that one. You're not going to go talk to 3. And that's been a tough lesson for me. I'm a high D. I just want to go talk to 3 and be done. And unfortunately, it doesn't work that way when it comes to finding talent. But once you find them, though, I mean, you can't replace talent on your team. Once you have it, it's, they will make you look very good, and they will, do great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the things I heard, Matt, was from Seth Campbell. He said the shortcut to career visioning is the long cut.
It really is.
Corners. That is the shortcut.
Of my 5 other agents, I include myself in that 6 agents. So of my 5 other agents, 3 of them have been with me for 3 of the 5 have been with me for 5 years or longer. And so when you find people like that, one of them's been with me for almost 9 years. One of them's been with me coming up on 8 years. Those 2 are just rock solid for me. Combined last year, they combined for 100 of the 215, those 2 people. So when you find people like that, it will pay off more than, 10X down the road, but you have to put the time in early to find those kind of people.
Is Mallory still on your team?
Mallory's one of them. Yeah. Mallory's one of them.
She's rock star. She's a stud.
She is. She did 72 listings last year by herself.
Wow.
So,
and I know that I remember during Bold, she was pregnant. She just had a baby after Bold. So she's probably got like a 3-year-old right now.
She's dealing with a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old right now. And last year closed 72 transactions on the list side, and is already, I think she's at 30 right now, which, the whole team's at like 85. So she's still kicking everybody's butt. So
yeah,
I love it.
Well, she's a stud. Listen, you've got definite talent, Mallory. Make sure you tell her I said hello.
I will.
So what else would you want to tell? What else could you share with my group here? These are from my 3 market centers. And some other market centers I have, and as an investor in. What else would you think would be important for them to know to get through this pandemic and to get their business where it really needs to be, Matt?
I think the only thing, going back to the calendar, is just being at home. We have to balance, work and family. And so I think you have to be very diligent about your time with your work, and make sure you're focused on it. And then I think in return, do the same thing with your family. So when you go to have, either lunch with them or dinner or activities in the afternoon or evening with them, with the kids or with your family or your significant others, make sure that you're giving 100% to them during that time. And then also going back to like MREA, and I pulled the energy plan, which is on page 308. That's something I think is huge right now. It basically talks about you should have a time in the morning where you meditate and pray. That's your spiritual energy time. Exercise and eat, which is obviously your physical energy. Hug, kiss, and laugh, which is your emotional. Plan and calendar, which I already talked about, which is your mental energy. And then the lead generate, which is your business energy. So I think those 5 pieces of energy and having an energy plan is huge, because like I said, I mean, being real, it's easy to get a little down right now, just being stuck at home and not having the social, especially if you're a high I right now, you're bouncing off the walls to go to a party or something right now, and it's killing you. So, I think that you have to have that energy plan to just get through the day and through the week, and feel success.
Yeah, I think the high eyes right now, they're going on every Zoom happy hour there is. It doesn't matter what time it is.
Yeah, we did a happy hour with our team last week. We're going to do another one this afternoon, and that went really well. Of course, my high eyes loved it. I sent a survey out to ask which day they wanted to do it, and the high eyes responded every day. I'm not going to do that, but Thursdays work. We'll have a beer, and we agreed to not talk about work and just do 30 to 45-minute call, and it went really well. So we're excited about doing that again this afternoon.
Yeah, you know what it is, Matt? The high eyes, they only want to celebrate on days that end in D-A-Y, right?
That's right. That's right. Yep. Yep. And,
All right, guys, yeah, that's right. So, guys, I'm going to open this up. You got Matt on the phone. He's built this team. He's an OP. He's got that opportunity. Before I even open up, I want to ask you a question. So how did that opportunity arise for you to become an OP? Because I get this a lot where people ask me and say, Rich, how do you have ownership in 7 market centers? You're an OP of 3. You're a bold coach, whatever. Tell everybody, give them advice how they get opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, I just always say, production, equals opportunity, performance rather equals opportunity. So, go out and crush whatever you're doing right now, and you'll get opportunity. So that starts on a team. For example, Mallory, who Rich mentioned, started as just a buyer's agent. She excelled on my team. She moved to lead buyer's agent. She was then moved to director of sales. So she ran the whole sales team. And now she's moved over, had the opportunity to move over to the list side. So she's a listing specialist and is also director of sales on my team. And so her continued performance has given her more and more opportunity. And I've told her that I'll continue to do that. And so the same was true for me, performing it within my team and growing my business. My OP at the time recognized that and said, hey, I need to make sure I get in a relationship with this person, and B, find more opportunity for them. So when we had an opportunity to open another neighboring market center, he came to me with that opportunity, and I gladly accepted it. So when I said at the beginning of the call, everything I've done has been through the opportunities Keller Williams has provided me, that's the truth. I mean, I put it in the work and built the things, but every time I've performed at a high level, another opportunity, another door has been open for me. And there's a lot of investment opportunities right now that I've been able to take advantage of in the last 4 to 5 years that came to me because I had the performance background. And so other people approached me. So the door will come to you, and people will come knocking, when you start knocking out of the park in whatever role you're in.
I love what you just said. Basically, so what I heard you say is when the results are there, opportunity will find you.
Yeah, my wife gives me a hard time because she said I did this just to be able to say I own a wine bar in Charleston, but we own we're investors in, so we own 2% of a wine bar that's getting ready to open in Charleston, and that opportunity came to me simply from people that were knew my success and what I'd built, and just were like, hey, would you be interested in this opportunity to invest? So those kind of things just come when you're exceeding at a high level. So.
Absolutely. So, guys, let's open it up. What questions do you have for Matt? Got to be some questions, guys. Nobody has questions. I'm not going to keep Matt on the phone. So this is up to you. This is your time. You can ask him. You can see I had about 10 or 12 questions for Matt.
Hi, Matt. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
This is Maya. I'm sorry I'm not live. I have a child running behind me.
No worries.
Thank you for the call. How do you handle the frightened seller who came off the market and doesn't want to come back? They need to come back. So how would you handle that? I need to call this seller today, and I just don't know how to approach them.
So
other than how are you? I know how he's doing.
Right. I can't speak to your market. Thank you for the question, Meyer. I can't speak to your market, but what I would venture to guess is similar to ours in that we already had low inventory heading into this situation, and because a lot of people are doing what they're trying to do and pull off the market, we're seeing even lower inventory. So right now is when you would want as a seller to be on the market because we don't have as much inventory, as much competition. And there's a lot of people pent up demand that I feel like is going to be waiting. So if they wait for third quarter and come back in June or July, they're going to be doing the same thing that everybody else is doing. And there's going to be a lot more competition. So I would try to use that situation, which is very real, and the numbers to show them now's when you want to be on the market.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's
Great
helpful.
question, Myra.
Thank you.
Also, to kind of speak to that, I was wondering, have you been having the conversations with your sellers about getting ahead of the curve as far as price reduction, or are you guys still holding strong on the price that you've currently been at?
No, yeah, we're definitely still having the normal price conversation. So we're letting the market dictate that. So if it was a seller that had been on the market for a while and we need a price reduction, we're absolutely still having that conversation. If it's a newer listing, like just went on in the last 2 weeks or something, that's where maybe I would give it a little bit more time than I normally would have on a price reduction, given that we do know that showings are going to be a little bit slower. But absolutely, ultimately, I mean, I keep telling my sellers, like, there's 10 million people in North Carolina, and they're all sitting at home on their computer right now. So, I mean, they're all looking at your listings. So you're getting a lot of exposure, and it's a great time to be on the market. And so, you know, we're still letting the market dictate if we need a price reduction.
Yeah, so I definitely agree, Matt. And so my thing too is it feels weird because I'm telling everyone that now's a great time, like what you said, to list because we have limited inventory, but then it feels strange because things are not moving as quickly for
Right.
us locally. So then I feel like, you know, I wonder, okay, well, is it because of our pricing or is it just the COVID? But that's just probably
We're definitely, yeah, no, we're definitely seeing the same thing, especially it's price point driven. So our higher price points are slower than lower price points. And, you know, our showings are absolutely, you know, down quite a bit. However, I mean, we had three contracts this weekend and would have had 4, but we had a multiple offer we lost out on. So, I mean, there's still multiple offers. There's still a lot of activity going on. And like I said, what the other thing with the sellers, I'm telling them, especially if it's a newer listing, is, you know, if you wait 2 months or list now, nobody's gonna penalize you for not selling in the next 60 days, because all you can do is use the excuse, oh, well, we didn't have many showings because of COVID. So if it doesn't sell, we've got that excuse. And then if it does sell, great. So it's kind of a win-win either way. Like normally those days on market hurt us, obviously, but right now I don't feel like, you know, anybody's going to hold that against the seller if we hit June and they've been on the market for 60 days, because everybody knows there's been little to no showings, you know. So we're going ahead and just, you know, encouraging them to list.
Thank
Okay,
you.
we got time for one more question. Get Mike.
Okay, so one thing that I'm experiencing right now is that I have a few properties that are under contract. However, the buyers for those properties are not working at the moment because of the whole COVID-19. So it's been delaying the closing quite a bit, and no one knows when we're going to close because no one knows when everything's going to go be back to normal. What is the best advice you can give to reassure the sellers on answering their questions on when they can close? Because they have, you know, everyone has their own issues. The buyers aren't working. The sellers are expecting the funds in order to do whatever they want with it. But what are you telling those sellers for those buyers that aren't working, I guess?
Yeah, that's a tough one because you don't really have an end date. I guess it's kind of on a case by case to answer your question, because it would depend on, is that buyer furloughed for 2 weeks or they have been laid off, you know, those kind of questions. I know that you can't explain to your sellers that the lenders are getting much more strict right now. The secondary market that's buying those loans is asking for a lot more details, like verification of employment 2 days out, 1 day out. So there's a lot of additional layers on the lending process that everybody's experiencing. So just explain to that seller, hey, you know, if we were to get out of this contract, we got to go back through this whole thing again, find another buyer. There's a lot of, you know, what ifs on that end of things. So I know it's not ideal, but just hang in there with me. And also maybe just let them know that, try to remind them that these delays are not due to things the buyer did. You know, the buyer didn't cause the COVID situation. So, you know, give them a little bit of grace. Yeah, give them a little bit of grace, and hopefully you got some reasonable sellers that can understand that. I mean, it's certainly not ideal for any of us. You want it to close, they want to close, seller wants to close. You know, we're all working toward the same goal, but I think it would be a case by case on the buyer situation. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, guys. Matt, listen, I so appreciate anything I could ever do for you. You know, I'm just a phone call or a text away, buddy.
Absolutely. I'll put my number in the chat. If anybody wants to call me, I hope you got something out of today's call with some value. And if you want to reach out to me, just text me or call me, and be happy to help you any way I can. So, Rich, love you, man. Thanks for
Love you too, buddy. Tell Mallory I said hello.
I will. I definitely will. I'm gonna tell her I was bragging about her.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll leave
Take care.
I'll leave my contact information on here.
Good. Put that in. So everybody's saying thank you, appreciate everything. Awesome call. They love you, Matt.
Awesome. All right. Well, like I said, just call me if I can help anything or reach out to me individually. I'm more than happy to help.
You got it, buddy. Take
All
care.
right. Y'all have a great week and a great weekend.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.